Official Wandering Weekends campground review for Old Federal Campground here on Lake Lanier, Georgia, near Flowery Branch. If this is your first time with us, we do our campground reviews, 6 different categories, scored from 1 to 10. Accessibility, scenery, atmosphere, value, comforts, and kid-friendly. We'll start with accessibility. Old Federal is fairly close to I-985 north of Atlanta. It's pretty easy to get to. If you take the correct directions, you shouldn't have any issues with the railroad tracks. If you get backed up in downtown Flowery Branch, you could have some awkward situations on the railroad tracks, but otherwise it's fairly easy to get to. There's a couple of cul-de-sacs that cause some tight turns, but otherwise you're good. It scores an 8 on accessibility. Scenery is exceptional at Old Federal. It's really hard to beat. The scenery at Old Federal scores a 9. The only reason it didn't score a 10, it's not the Grand Canyon or Acadia National Park, but it's really hard to beat the scenery if you like the water, if you like sunsets, and we got a sunset and a sunrise here in this particular campsite. We were in campsite 38. Scenery scores a 9. Next up is atmosphere. We've spent several trips here at Old Federal, and in general the population is mostly experienced campers, which is a good thing. We've never experienced any type of loud parties or inappropriate behavior. The staff is very, very friendly. There's an experienced staff. They've been here for several years, and the atmosphere scores a 10. On to value. Value is $32 a night, gets you electricity and water. Basically that sits it at a 5 on the Wandering Weekends value scale. That's about the same as most state parks in Georgia. You can find campgrounds that can be a little bit cheaper, but $32, $35 is about average for an RV site in Georgia. It scores a 5. Comforts at Old Federal is really hard to beat. You are within 15 minutes of one of the major shopping areas in all of the Southeast, as far as the Mall of Georgia is concerned. Really close to a Walmart. You have a Camping World nearby. If you ever needed some specific RV parts, it scores a 10 on comforts. Last but certainly not least on our list for campground review categories is kid-friendly. And Old Federal is a little funny. It's got some great kid amenities. Right here you can see the playground, and then right next to the playground is the beach. So it's kind of a heaven for little kids. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of other kids here. We didn't see any other kids actually, especially not Townley's age. And so that detracts from the score a little bit. We're gonna score it an 8 for kid friendly. Old Federal knocks it out of the park, a 50. If you've been watching our channel at all, you know that a 50 is a great score. There's no doubt that Old Federal is our favorite campground on Lake Lanier. We like to switch up the scenery sometimes. We go to Shoal Creek, Duckett Mill, etc. But Old Federal is always our favorite. It's hard to get into Old Federal, so if you want to take a trip to Old Federal, make sure you plan in advance, several weeks in advance, especially on the weekends. But now you see why. It's a great campground. I really hope today's video was useful. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. And join us over at Instagram at the handle you see on your screen.